Good morning, this is Chief Meteorologist Richard Woolley at Weather Trends 360. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about the weather here in July, looking into August. Let's take a quick look at the overall July weather pattern. Matter of fact, this is probably the August weather pattern as well. We've settled into a very nice typical summer weather pattern here with monsoon moisture coming up out of Old Mexico into the southwest southern Rockies. Propagates northward across the Rockies, then often gets pulled out into the plains as cold fronts move across southern Canada. That bit of moisture then moves across the basically the western Great Lakes. Then it dips down southward, more toward the Central Lakes and down into the Ohio Valley, and then I'll cross through the Mid-Atlantic and out the Northeast. With this kind of pattern in place, we can expect fairly decent amount of rainfall in these areas in the Southwest. The rainfall kind of fizzles out a little bit as you come across the plains. You do get occasional big thunderstorm complexes out here, but they're more widespread. A lot of areas just see clouds and not a whole lot of weather activity. As they come eastward, they get plenty of juice in them as the cold fronts drop down from the north, and that helps interact with that moisture as it comes east. We get these nice big complexes, as you can see, these big red blobs here on the satellite image. These are indicative of big thunderstorms moving across the upper Midwest. And we can say places around Chicago getting plenty of rainfall last couple days here, 7-8 inches in some places yesterday. As that rain comes eastward, you'll see these complexes tend to fall apart as they move into the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast as they exit off the East Coast. And basically this pattern is really a pretty steady pattern. This is a stable pattern. We see this occasionally in the summer where it locks in like this. And that's what we think is going to happen. The heat basically is locked up over top of Texas and Oklahoma. It's real hot down here. There's no clouds. Just sits and becomes hotter and hotter as the ground dries out down there. Very little moisture can actually penetrate into this high pressure that's located across the southern plains. And there's also high pressure across the northern Rockies. And essentially this is just funneling moisture northward and then eventually eastward over the top. Occasionally, some of this heat tries to break out and come across and get into the Midwest and eventually into the Mid-Atlantic. But as we get these cold fronts dropping through, pushes this boundary back down. So essentially, this dividing line here is a real good depiction of essentially the hot and the humid air south of this. Cooler, more comfortable air to the north. And essentially, if you're underneath of this, this is where the battle line is. And you're going to have a battle with storms, nightly big complexes of thunderstorms if you get underneath this. Now the good news is this boundary won't stay just parked in one place all summer. It'll migrate southward and northward every few days or every 4 to 5 days. So we can expect to see this drop to the south, lift back to the north in what I call the wash and repeat cycle. Because basically this is what we have, this is what we're going to get, and this is what you're going to have for the next month or so. Probably well into August before this pattern starts to break down a little bit. Matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me that this goes into part of September as well, at least the very first part. I think later in September we start to cool down some more. Compared to last year, that's a little bit drier trends across the western plains, western Corn Belt. Eastern Corn Belt, definitely cooler, wetter than last year. Still warm though. When we talk cool in July, it's only relative. Still 80s with plenty of humidity, moisture, rainfall. So overall, fairly decent conditions across the eastern Corn Belt, western Corn Belt, a little bit drier. Harder to get the storms coming off the Rockies to make it out into the plains before they kind of fall apart and then redevelop again as they get closer to the Great Lakes. So this is kind of the pattern we expect. Pretty much what we're going to see for the next, I don't know, anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, I think, from now. Couple tropical systems down here. These are basically non-worries. We're not going to worry about them. And for those in the southeast, we just have basically occasional afternoon moisture flaring up in the southeast and bringing some rainfall down there. Overall, that's basically the pattern we're looking at, and that's the pattern we got for the next several weeks. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you.